Hey, you! Yes, you! Do you have an inkling to test the newest way to play the greatest card game in the world? Unfortunately, you're stupid as hell! Well, do I have the deck for you? The deck you can't fuck up. Good afternoon, Genesys gamers! I'm MBT, and this is 100 Point Playtesting. I'd hoped to hop on a Blazing Dominion this week, but after the update from the Genesys team, I think that's probably a bad idea. I can wait till the 30th to start losing with Predaplants. In the meantime, let me show you my greatest creation, the deck you can't fuck up.
Fill them pews, people!
So here's the list. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course the card by card. But first, this video is sponsored by Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. Looking for a place to find inspiration for Genesys decks? Well, look no further. I've already spent years telling you about how Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck is the best repository of deck lists, strategy articles, third-party assistance with alternate ways to play Yu-Gi-Oh!, and card collection management on the internet. But right now, it's also the best way to find Genesys lists. You can sort by deck type, filter high-level tournaments to see what's been working, and download decks you see in any format you desire. That's why I'm proud to be sponsored by www.ygoprodeck.com. Now back to the video. With that, let's dive into DIFU. DOGMATIKA REGENESIS is a combination of the two easiest archetypes to play under the sun. By this point, everyone from the oldest Lithium viewer at 120 to the youngest Farfa viewer, still in utero, are well aware of what these strategies are capable of. DOGMATIKA has a consistent line to negation through fleur-de-lis, REGENESIS has access to a negate and a Book of Moon, and never seems to go away. But what you may not know, if you're still listening to wonky quartet videos in the womb, is that both of these archetypes have gotten recent support. Fleur-de-lis 2 in DOGMATIKA, which remains one of the best unpointed hand traps in the game, and Royal Archfiend in REGENESIS, which is just a searcher for the 10-point terror. All in all, the cards in this deck are simple, powerful, and iconic, which is probably good enough. So with that, let's get into the card by card. First up, we have 3 DOGMATIKA Fleur-de-Lis the Knighted, which is a negate provided there is a DOGMATIKA and an extra deck monster on the field. DOGMATIKA Fleur-de-Lis the Thunderbolt, which can be special summoned if a monster from the extra deck is on the field, and if special summoned from the hand only, can set a DOGMATIKA trap and then activate it the same turn it was set. 2 copies of REGENESIS Dragon, which banishes spell traps. 1 REGENESIS Lord, which sets your REGENESIS Birth, and 3 Royal Archfiend. After that, we've got 3 DOGMATIKA Punishment, 3 Unpointed Ice Dragon's Prison, 1 Quadogmatica Beast, 2 REGENESIS Birth, and 3 Torrential Tribute. I'll be honest, I think there are better trap cards for these slots, but I think Torrential Tribute is just so iconic. I love seeing it see play anywhere. It has synergy with the REGENESIS monsters, and Ice Dragon's Prison I think is largely underexplored. I think this card is really, really good. After that, we've got 2 copies of REGENESIS Archfiend leading off our pointed cards, 2 copies of REGENESIS down from 33 to 10, courtesy of the rule update, and 2 copies of REGENESIS Code, unfortunately up to 10, courtesy of that same update. We've got 2 REGENESIS Sage, 2 REGENESIS Warrior, 3 DOGMATIKA Ecclesia the Virtuous. Frequently, I see people who are playing DOGMATIKA in Genesys cut this card down to 1. I think this deck is really lacking a normal summon. I think this is probably the best one you can get. And then 3 copies of Destructive Daruma Karma Cannon for 1 point apiece. In the extra, we've got mostly a bunch of shit we're going to send off of DOGMATIKA Punishment, Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, Cyber End Dragon, Fossil Machine Skullwagon, Skull Knight, Grand Ginual, Titanclad, Luluwa Lilith, Astero, Double Meteor, Dingirsu, Big Eye can be actually made alongside Volo Fnergis, but Velon can be sent as well. We are playing 1 copy of Elder Entity Entis and devoting 7 points to it because, unfortunately, this card is just such an unbelievable hit off of DOGMATIKA Punishment that I really do think it necessitates the investment. To be clear, in the extra deck, you probably, instead of Cyber End and Blue Eyes Ultimate, should be playing like a double Flower Cardian Light Flare, but one of the things that I wanted to keep intact with this build, which I intend to just hand to newer players, is a sense of familiarity with some of the cards that are in it. And I think seeing a Blue Eyes Ultimate and a Cyber End is going to get them a lot more excited than randomly hitting a 4,600 attack point monster 1 in every million games will. In the side, we've got 3 copies of Chaos Hunter, 3 copies of Lava Golem, both 25. Lava Golem, great out of the board. I think there are just a significant amount of decks, though, that play totally around it. Chaos Hunter, I was almost playing main just because I think it has a lot more utility than people imagine. Not only, of course, does it have the ability to prevent your opponent from banishing cards, it also can get them into sticky situations by setting up a DOGMATIKA Fleur-de-Lis that can Quadogmatica Beast your pitch off of Chaos Hunter, which can really cause some funny shenanigans. After that, we've got 3 copies of Illusion Gate, 3 Shared Ride, and 3 Blizzard. Lockbird, all unpointed. So with that, let's check out a match. Our match is up against Archmage, and our hand looks pretty good. Here we try and play around as much as possible. We're going to begin with a copy of Royal Archfiend for Regenesis Archfiend. Feels good to switch gears to Genesis and stop worrying about Droll and Lockbird. We'll go Regenesis Archfiend for a Sage, then we'll get that Sage onto the field as early as possible so we can contest anything. We'll summon out the Lord and activate the effect to set a copy of Regenesis Birth, then afterwards we will activate Regenesis to grab a Warrior and summon that as well. Finally, we will go for Dogmatika Ecclesia. We'll activate the effect for a punishment set to and pass. At end of main, our opponent will Nibiru, which of course we will activate the Sage against. They'll chain Ghost Ogre, and we'll lose half our board, but still maintain a lot against their 4-card hand. They're going to begin with a copy of Prisma, which gives the game away. We'll activate Qua, targeting our Regenesis Sage, and sending a copy of Entis. We'll activate it, though they mourner our Sage. Their fusion deployment will get out of Metis the Pure, whose effect will activate, and summon a copy of Archmage Power Patron. Once they go for the Patron, we activate Dogmatika Punishment, and they'll scoop it up. For game 2, our opponent is sending us first, which is something I really like in Archmage. You don't see it too often. Archmage is already playing these Windmill Slam spell cards that read win the game courtesy of Acropolis, so you might as well get yourself into a situation that they're going to be useful and an opponent might misboard against them. Here we're just going for a standard setup, Ecclesia, a Fleur-de-Lis, a couple of Regenesises, a Lord, a Birth, and a Punishment set. It's layered to beat Dark Ruler no more, but not to beat Dark Ruler plus Twin Twister. Without anything left on the field, we are in a bad position. Now, thankfully, our opponent can't kill us, courtesy of that Dark Ruler no more, which means that in end step, we're going to be able to get back the Sage and the Dragon, which is a cold comfort, but might be able to beat one of the Genesis end boards. Here, they're going for the Meteus Searcher off of Griflair. Then, of course, they can summon out that Meteus in order to grab an Archmage Power Patron for their deck. The Lidera is the last unknown, but they're grabbing Succession, which means they're going to be able to perform a fusion summon on our turn if they so desire. Power Patron comes down comes Deactress, and of course, Power Patron triggers for an Awakening, which is perfect pitch fodder for the Acropolis. They will do just that, getting the last remaining name Finmel, and really putting the screws on. From here, they're going to go for the Finmel, draw a card, and then activate the effect to sync our monsters so everything gets over everything just in case. Afterwards, they are just going to go ahead and set the rest of their hand and pass turn. And non-finito to cap things off, and I have to worry about an alteration as well. Okay, well, at end step, we get back the Sage and the Dragon, which is something. We'll draw for turn, and it's a pretty good one that massively complicates things. Because the Fleur-de-Lis the Knighted is potentially on the field, we could make this work. We'll summon Sage, they'll go for the Finmel line. We'll go for the Fleur-de-Lis in the on-field. They'll go for the Lidera. We'll go for the Sage. They'll go for the Deactress. We'll go for the Fleur-de-Lis, and they will go for the non-finito to dodge it. But it means we do get to clear the board by getting rid of the Nerva and then forcing out our opponent's activation of Awakening and Yard to detach a material from Dingirsu. We've simplified the board state, but our opponent has access to Acropolis still, which is disastrous. From here, they're going to go for Lidera, get back Finmel, and that's probably all she wrote. They will afterwards just go ahead and cycle back here, shuffling monsters back into the extra deck on their way through Finmel, drawing an additional card, Griflair summoning to set a copy of Alteration, and then after that, of course, they can go ahead and shuffle this Ghost Mourner back from Meteus the Pure from the Yard as well. From here, they're going to activate the effect of the Meteus the Pure for the Power Patron, and then, of course, they can activate the Power Patron for Deactress. This is certainly all she wrote, especially with a half of the Finmel on our next turn, locking out any chance of a comeback, even if we aren't facing down lethal at this exact moment. They're going to go for a Power Patron and attack. Finmel is down to 13, and of course the negated effect means we aren't going to be able to use the replacement effect. We do have some life here, but we don't have anything coming back at end step, which is bad news. We'll draw for turn, and it's not gonna do it. Okay, well, we'll summon out the Fleur-de-Lis and go to the battle phase, at which point our opponent will just go ahead and non-finito summon into a total unbelievable murder. Ugh, God, come on. So it's time for that all-important Game 3, and lesson learned. I am now too scared to make my opponent go second. As a result, I am forcing them on the play, and we have boarded into all of our powerful cards for going second. We've drawn one of them, Chaos Hunter, though it doesn't have a lot of utility in this matchup. It is going to do something interesting with the Fleur-de-Lis. Our opponent's going to go to the main phase and lead with a copy of Assault. That's going to grab them a Meteus, one of the most expected opens for this strategy. Meteus comes down, then afterwards can summon a copy of Power Patron. We'll go for the Chaos Hunter here, pitching this copy of Warrior. They'll chain to get Deactress out, but of course it's not yet online. They'll go for the effect of the Power Patron. We will go for Fleur-de-Lis, then of course afterwards we can activate Fleur-de-Lis, and our opponent Ghost Mourners! No! We're Chain Link 2, and they scoop in shame! We take those. So we're back with the deck, and God, Mourner is awful. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1, the deck is really unassuming. It can often feel like you're not putting up much of a defense, only to end on like 4 interactions. 2, traps are really good in Genesys. Without the turn 1 combo end board slop we're used to in the TCG, cards like Torrential can really shine. And 3, the grind game. it's got one, courtesy of the Regenesis monsters. And the cons. 1. The points. Christ, this main deck is expensive. These cards were pointed to box out Vanquish Soul, and while it did do that, it also really changed how this strategy plays. 2, it's inflexible. There's actually not too much the deck actually does. Like, if you need to interact with a layered game state, doing so is an issue. And 3, seasoned opponents will just not summon from the extra deck, turning off half of your strategy. All in all, I really recommend this deck to new players. It's rewarding, iconic, and also like $50 if you don't buy the illusion gates.